welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It's taking an hour of your Saturdays, and hopefully it'll be a good experience for everyone. Is my camera on? I think it is. You guys can see me. Yeah, that's good. So hopefully it'll be a good experience for everyone. With the careers events that we have, I also want to take some time to just say thank you to Arnold and Rebecca for joining us as well, making their time. I know they are quite busy people, maybe so much, not Arnold, but I know Rebecca is. She's got work in a bit. So we do thank them for making the time for us. Just to give a quick overview, the whole point of this, as informal as it is, just to sort of do a knowledge transfer, given, youth information that we didn't have when we were growing up, maybe, and just making it easier for them to navigate careers or what they want to do in life going forward. So things that we weren't told when we first started going to work or going to uni or applying for jobs, etc. That things that we just didn't know. So it's sort of building that gap between us and them as a bridge for us to be able to pass over that information that we probably would have done well with if we'd had at the time. This is an ongoing series. We did one before. This is the second one that we're doing today. And obviously we have Arnold Mabhena with us, who is a performer. I don't actually know your full title, but I'm sure you'll share that with us soon. And Rebecca as well, who is a nurse, I want to say. So they'll share their journeys with us as well. So we'll start with their journeys, some introductions. We'll then got some preset questions, and then I'll open up the floor to everyone who's here as well if they have any questions that they want to ask you directly. So with that being said, I'm going to jump straight in, and I think I'll probably start with Rebecca, ladies first. If you can just sort of share your, do your intro with us and share your journey as well.
Yeah. So I'm Rebecca, 27. So I'm from Zimbabwe. Came when I was about 7, moved here, lived in kind of Wolverhampton since I kind of moved with my parents and stuff. Went to school here, then kind of did my A-levels, in Wolverhampton. Then kind of after that, I decided, a few options before I went to uni and stuff. I was like, well, do I want to go to uni? What do I want to do? But obviously parents are like, yeah, you have to go. What do you want to like, kind of thing. So I always knew anyway that I wanted to like be in the medical field since I was like young and stuff like that. So I was about like 11, 10. I just used to watch like so many medical shows. I'm like, okay, like I do want to do something. So then I thought, well, my parents were like, well, you can be a doctor if you want to. But I was like, yeah, I'm not quite sure. So I was like kind of like umming and ahhing, knew something in the medical. So I kind of did my GCSE and A-levels in line with something in the medical field, because I was like between biochemistry or nursing, radiography, and it was just like all sorts of like different things up there. But in the end, I think I went to an interview for like radiology and stuff, and then went through like the few bits and bobs, and then I remember doing the interview, and the lady in the interview was like, I don't think this is the right course for you, because I went straight from like, I was 17 then when I was doing interviews and stuff. So did the interviews. She was just like, I think you still kind of need a bit more experience. You need to be a bit more mature, or you need a few like bits and bobs. And I was just like, but I just want to go straight to uni and just finish and then just start working. Like, I don't get why I have to do that. But she was just like, no, I don't think it's not the right thing for you. So kind of left the interview so disappointed. Like I was in tears, crying. I was just like, well, what else am I meant to do? Like, I want to do this and all sorts. Then I went to, I think it was another interview. And then weirdly enough, like another lady said exactly the same thing. And she was just like, I don't think radiology is for you. Like, do you really want it and stuff? And I was just like, why does everyone keep saying that? Like, I don't get it. I remember like telling my parents, I was just like, I just don't know what to do anymore. But the lady was just like, oh, like, what have you thought about nursing before? And I was kind of like, why would she say that? Like, why? Like, that's so random. But I was like, I did previously think about nursing, but I was just like umming and ahhing. So afterwards, like, got back, did some research and everything else, and I was just like, actually, like, it's still kind of in line. And I was like, with nursing, I can still go wherever. Like, if I want to, I can go back and go to biochem, or go back and do medicine, or go back and do radiology if I want to. So I was just like, yeah. And obviously it's a got the qualifications and stuff like that. So they kind of asked me, because at this point, I think I'd done like literally all the interviews for radiology, and they were like, yeah, it's not for you. So I had to kind of go through, I can't remember what they call it, like after they've kind of recruited everyone for uni, they kind of have like a backup kind of thing. So I kind of called them, and then University of West London were like, yeah, if you want to do nursing, like, we're happy, like, go for it. So
it's clearing, you mean clearing? You went through clearing?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you want to do nursing, you've got the qualifications and stuff. Like, I went to an interview. This interview was long. Like, I had a maths test, English test, and he had like a one-to-one interview. Then he had a group intervio. So I was just like, I'm not getting this at all. Like, this is just so long. And then, yeah, like later on the same day, she was just like, yeah, you're in, like, you can start. Like, I think at this point, like, 4 weeks and stuff. So I was just like, wow, like, okay, I think this is like real and stuff. So kind of started from there really. And as soon as I started, I was just like, actually, like, I do really love like nursing and stuff. And it's actually like my passion. It's like all the doors were just like leading me towards that way and kind of open that way really. And
yeah,
so I've been enjoying it.
How would you describe so like if someone said, what is your role as a nurse? Like, how would you describe that to someone who wasn't aware of what a nurse does?
That's a bit how do I explain it? You're kind of like under the doctors, a sense, and they're like, so obviously caring for patients, you kind of day to day, it depends like which kind of field you go to, but I like chose cardiology, so which to do with the heart, and then I did my master's like towards that, so kind of just went to that field. So kind of a day to day really, you go in the morning, everyone gets that handover and stuff, you see which patients you're looking after, and then kind of from day to day really, there's like different people, you get emergencies coming in and out, so kind of like go with the doctors, sort out the emergencies, kind of day to day basis, you kind of do like daily care and stuff like that, to making sure like the patients are fed, they're washed, like the clothes and stuff on top. So like the basic, but obviously because like it's 21st century and stuff like that, like nurses you can do so many other procedures and stuff, because with me we go to theatre and stuff like that, do kind of procedures, because I'm like into cardiology and stuff, so sort of people with like heart attacks, pacemakers, so there's like different procedures as well that we do. So kind of from day to day, you're like on your feet really, because it's just get like a lot of emergencies and stuff. But
no 2 days are the same, I'm guessing.
Pardon?
No 2 days are the same.
No. Yeah, no 2 days. Like every day is literally different, because you just don't know what patients you're going to get. Like sometimes you get patients who are like in the 80s and 90s, and sometimes you get patients like who are like 18, like young and stuff like that. So you just kind of in different conditions and stuff like that come in like really.
And as for I know you mentioned your qualifications and having sort of wanted to go down the radiologist route. What GCSEs did you do, or what GCSEs do you need rather to take to set yourself up if you want to go in that direction?
So they're kind of what, like maths, English and science as like a baseline GCSE. Sometimes I want like an extra science as well on top of that. So I did like maths, English, then I did science for my crazy self. So everything else, and then for A levels, I kind of want 2 to 3 A levels ideally, just depending on what. But one, I think they said like inner science or health and social kind of field. But if you sometimes if you don't have those, if you can't achieve those, there's like access courses that you can do. Go to college and do like an access to nursing course, which is like a year, so it kind of gives you a background and stuff like that to then at least be able to go to uni. But some universities do like 3 years degree plus an access course if you don't meet like the qualifications and stuff like that they have, so which is cool. And then also like some hospitals do it as well, so you can go into hospital and be like work as a healthcare assistant, and then the NHS can pay you to go through that route and be a nurse in that way, and then they can obviously pay you whilst you're at uni as well and stuff. So
okay, yeah, no, that's great. Well, thank you for that, Rebecca. Let me move on to Arnold. You're on
just
mute.
Mute myself. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, got to fiddle around with that mute button, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, over to you. I know you've got an interesting career and career journey, so could you share that with us?
Yeah, sure. Hi guys, I'm Arnold. I literally similar to you. I came to England when I was 8 years old, and we moved to Manchester. Um, I feel like as a young child, I always danced around, messed around, and my uncle actually, when I was 11 years old, gave me a Michael Jackson DVD, and I used to watch it religiously. Like when I say religious, I used to watch it quite at least once a week. Since the age of 11 to about 16, I would watch it once a week, the whole music video. So yeah, so it's always in me. And I hate admitting this, but when I finished high school, I didn't necessarily get the best grades. I don't want to tell you, but I didn't. They weren't amazing. Okay, let's just say that they weren't amazing. And because of this, I immediately wanted to start working. I was like, you know what? Forget this. Let me just get a normal job, make some money, and start working my way up in something. Okay, that's what I wanted to do as soon as age of 16. My dad was like, no, you're going to college. You're going to college. Like I don't. If you don't decide which course you're gonna take, I'm gonna put you in IC because my dad was a teacher. He said, if you don't decide a course, I'm going to put you in ICT because I know someone in this college that works in ICT and you're going to start next week. So decide, you can pick, or you're doing this. You're not starting any random job. You're going to get your education. So I was given no choice, no choice. So I went to college, and because it was late, I said, "What do you have left? Like, what courses are still available?" And there was, engineering, some other things and things like that, which I wasn't interested in. There was also music tech and performing arts. I said, "Okay, let me try music tech," and they said, "Oh, actually, sorry." They said, "Actually, you missed the induction day for that one. Is there anything else you're interested?" And I said, "Okay, what's performing arts?" "Acting, dancing, and singing." So I was like, you know what, that can move a little bit if I have to take a course because my dad's forcing me. It's either this or ICT. So I said, you know what, let me do performing arts. Let me just try something to keep my dad happy that I'm going to carry on getting an education. So I did performing arts. And even in that subject, which I actually really enjoyed, even in that subject, there was points when I was like, you know what, let me stop this. Let me do something else. Let me just get a job. But like, I want to make some money, Let me, because in this country, we weren't necessarily I was always the poorest one out of my friends. Out of my friends, I was always the poorest one. I never had the nice trainers and all this stuff. So I was like, let me just make some money and then buy myself some kicks, That's what I was thinking. But my dad was like, no. So I just persevered. I carried on with performing arts. And in fact, speaking of my dad, I did performing arts for 2 years in Berry College. And after I finished in Berry College, I went for an audition for Masters Performing Arts College. Is specifically a musical theatre dance college, musical theatre dance acting and singing college in Rayleigh, actually where I first met Lynn. But yeah, so my dad drove me all the way to Essex, 4.5 hours for this audition, and he said something to me that's actually been one of the most probably the driving force of my life. From that day, he said something to me that's always meant a lot in why I do what I do. As I was going into that audition, he said to me, he looked me in the eyes and said, "If you really want this, it's yours." He said that. And ever since, every single thing that I've ever done, whether it be, I don't know, whether it be money, women, jobs, anything I've ever looked at, I've always taken the words of, if you really want this, it's yours. Because the way you got to look at it is that there is no other option than you acquiring this. There is no other way. So this is already yours. You've got to act like this already belongs to you, not in an egotistical way, but in a way that you already believe that this is yours. Because if you believe it, it will happen. So yeah, I've always used that principle for everything, that I'm going to get this. Like, this is meant for me. So when I walked into that audition room, in my head, felt like I already went to this college. I was so personable with everyone. I was like, hello, like, how are you doing? To talking to everybody, so confident, but not in an egotistical way, but very, very confident and comfortable. And I remember the whole day like it was yesterday. So everything we did the dance audition, did the music singing audition, and then acting our monologues. And then we had a little interview with the head of the college, head of acting, head of dance, and what's it called? Basically handles their money. What's that called?
Treasurer or something, like finance.
Treasurer, that's it. Yeah. That's their treasurer. He decides who they give out the grants and the scholarships to. They were all there, and I was talking to them, having a little bit of banter as well. Like, he was a Liverpool fan, I'm a United fan. I was like, oh, I don't think we're gonna get along, bro. Like, maybe I shouldn't go to this college. Just like, like little banter. And he was like, okay, whatever. But they basically, because I think it was not necessarily because of how talented I was, which I like to think I'm a little bit talented, but it wasn't necessarily because of my talents. They were just like my personality. I think I already felt like I belonged there. And they literally more or less told me that I've got the job. I've got a full scholarship in that college in my interview there. They said, because their words were, if you were to get funding for this, how would you be able to support yourself? And I said, oh, well, I'm not necessarily from rich background. I'm not sure that how I would be able to support myself. And they were like, but then I said to them, does that mean I'm in? And they were like, well, that's not what we're saying. We're not offering any scholarships yet. And I was like, are you sure? And they were like, let's just move on. And I was like, okay, I feel like they basically made it clear. I think it was clear. So yeah, I got a full scholarship to go to this college in Essex, and a couple months later I moved down and stayed with Lynn for about a month, I think it was. Maybe.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
like a month or so. Luckily that you actually lived there, because we had nowhere to go. 3 years training, and near enough, because I started so late. I literally started dancing, acting, and singing when I was 16, off a whim, because I was asking what do they have left. I started so late, so I was never necessarily the best in the room. Never. I was literally never the best in the room. But I always gave it my everything, because I always believed if I really want it, it's already mine. Like, I have to get this. Like, I have to get it. And I worked very, very hard. I don't want to dumb that down at all, the fact that how hard I worked, because I look at the things that I've accomplished now, and I know that I deserve them because I worked very hard. Like, I was always fighting every single day. I'm not even a morning person, but I was getting up at 8 o'clock going, let's go. In that dance studio, pushing. So, and when I graduated, it was a bit of speaking of which, graduating, the course is a diploma course, so it's not necessarily like I would get a degree. There's no valuable certificate, really. The training is specifically for your training. It's not necessarily for a piece of paperwork that will get you jobs. That's not how it works in my industry. It's your ability that gets you the job. So now you can imagine what it was like trying to explain this to my parents. Actually, over time, once they realized how well I was doing, they started to be more, okay, you're good at this, like, you can do this.
Yeah, I was going to come to that, actually, because I wanted to, before we got there, I wanted to ask about qualifications that you would need now that you know, before setting into that career. What would you need to have done before? So let's say, like, I don't know, 9 or 10, and I think I want to be a professional dancer, or I want to be a performer. What would you say, oh, you need to do this and do that and do this, to sort of set yourself up in that path?
It's not, it depends what you want to do. So if you want to ultimately be a teacher in a school or in a university or something like that, then yes, you would need to get qualifications, because you can't work in a school without certain qualifications. But if you want to be a professional performer, you don't really need any qualifications. It's more about your ability and your training and your knowledge, rather than a certain certificate. That's not important. It's not really important, because somebody could have higher qualifications than me but can't sing this song as well as I can sing that song. Make sense?
Yeah. What qualifications would, if I wanted to be a teacher, what are the qualifications?
Just a degree in
Just a degree.
Musical. If you want to teach musical theatre, you need a degree in musical theatre, a degree in dance. But the thing is, I didn't go to a university, and I don't have any of those qualifications. But I have taught in universities. I have taught in many schools. I've taught in many of them as a guest teacher because of the accomplishments that I have, the things that I've done. So I teach specific workshops for the shows that I've been in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as I was saying, like my family, my mum and dad, they were starting to support what I was doing. The rest of my family, on the other hand, like I know every single one of us has that auntie who's very hard to convince of anything. She has her ways, and that's what it should be. We all have that auntie. Now, this auntie for me really made it very, very hard for me to want to do this. She would always say, "You're not going to have any qualifications. You're not going to have anything to show for yourself. You're not going to be able to prove what you've done. And you need to think about your family." Like all these things were like, she's got a good heart, and she meant it from a good place. But it was so drowning for me as I was trying to achieve something that I had to not listen to her. I had to not listen to her because I had to remember that what she thinks is best for me is not necessarily what I believe is best for me, you know? Mm-hmm. Even though she was coming from a good place, I know she was, but this wasn't what I needed to do. It wasn't. So she was always like, you need to become a doctor, you need to be a teacher, you need to be an engineer. Because that's what my dad's a teacher, my mom was a teacher. She was like, why don't you become a teacher like your mom and your dad? You have that ability to teach. And I was like, I can teach with what I'm doing, but it's not the thing that I want to do. I want to perform. I want to be on the stage. I want to be in films. I want to perform. And she was like, but you can't. This is so funny when she said this. She said, you can't be throwing jazz hands for a living for all your life.
Whoa. How do you combat that? How do you maneuver that? Being that we are African kids and your upbringing isn't siloed. Your aunt, they all have a say in your life almost. So how do you maneuver that when you are doing a career that isn't traditional, because everyone's parent wants them to be a lawyer or like a nurse like Rebecca, who
a credible job, a credible, it's a credible job. And all of my aunties are nurses and doctors as well. All of them, like more or less all of them are nurses and doctors. One works for the BBC actually, but like, credible jobs where they know there's quite good success. And my job is not necessarily guaranteed success. It's just not. So I had something to prove is the main thing. It was like, I'm not going to waste my time now. Now I know that this specific auntie doesn't believe in what I'm doing. I'm going to show her just how good I can be, just how well I can do in this. And it wasn't until I actually booked a West End job where she was like, okay, wow, you're actually pretty good at this. And I was like, I've been telling you, I can do this. Like, this is something that I do. And they came and watched me. Loads of my aunties came and watched me in a show, and they were like, I can't believe that that's you on stage. I can't believe it's you. And I was saying to them, I've been telling you that I've been working hard. I'm doing this because I believe it's mine. If you want it, it's yours. I believe it's mine, so I'm gonna make it. And I've always done that. And I'm not gonna pretend like it was an easy ride, because I do jazz hands for a living. It's not easy. It's not an easy ride, because I had to work hard, especially coming from a time because I came so late to the industry as well. So I had to work very, very hard.
No, definitely. I think that's like a lesson to be learned for most people. But on that, actually, I want to quickly take back to Rebecca as well. Similar question for you in terms of course, I guess you went down a more traditional route in terms of careers, but what conversations were you having with your parents before choosing what it is that you wanted to do? And did you ever sort of think, am I making the right choice? And, you know, who did you go to for advice?
Yeah, it was literally just the hardest decision, because I always feel like when you're 16 and 17, like half the time you're not thinking about your future and kind of thinking in the moment, in the now. So you're kind of just going with the flow, I guess. Like, but I feel like it's hard at 16 and 17 to kind of think of a career and think what do you want to do, and all sorts of things. But yeah, it's good to kind of have an idea. But I always find, like, because we live in such, obviously, a world like with so many opportunities and stuff, and there's loads of doors and stuff that can be open for like so many people. I feel like even if it feels like you've made the wrong choice, you can always go back and try again or do something different. And I think I kind of thank my parents for that, in a sense of like, they were in a sense of like, okay, like, well, what do you want to do? And kind of, I was umming and ahhing like of so many different things. And I remember speaking to, we had like, I don't know what they called him, but there was like a teacher who kind of did like life skills and stuff like that, who was like going through like how we're meant to go to uni and how you're meant to sign up and stuff, and what, or if you don't want to go to uni, you can do something different. So obviously I already said, like, I kind of do want to do something that's like within like field and stuff. But remember, he was obviously, because he was with us since like GCSE and stuff, so he kind of knew like students and stuff, and it was just like, well, what are you thinking? I was like, well, maybe nursing. But it was just like, you're caring, you like, you know, I was like, I do like to care for people, like to kind of help people and stuff. So it's in that sense, that's what was kind of going, that was going on. But I think it's sort of lucky, because I kind of knew what I wanted to do from like 11, 12, but like usually like some of the, like, so like Arnold said, that some of the aunties were like, well, why like a nurse, like you want to be a doctor, like a nurse is just a nurse. That kind of thing. But it's like, until you start working, obviously I think sometimes it's that drive, that when people doubt you or say that kind of stuff, you're like, you know what, like, no, actually I can do this, like I'm gonna do it. I feel like that drives you and pushes you and stuff. And then they said, like, obviously with nursing you can go anywhere. Like if I wanted to, I can carry on doing medicine. If I want to do medicine, I can go to biochemistry, or like I can obviously go somewhere different and stuff like that. So I think it was that. And then when I started working, and then kind of knew where I wanted to go, I was like, actually I can go further with this. And then that's when like I did masters and stuff. And then after, when I came back, I did like extra courses and stuff like that through like the hospital, like funding. And then like I became a sister, like in cardiology, so moved up like to kind of like management side and stuff. So like now I kind of have, obviously still do nursing, but more like managing like junior nurses and stuff like that. So it's in a sense like you start kind of moving up, and I was like, I kind of have a goal where I want to be. And actually you can then do what the doctors are doing at this, you literally, with the qualifications, stuff like that you have. Like even some of the doctors turn around and come to you and be like, oh, actually, how do I do this? So it's like, at the end of the day, I was like, it depends. Like I'm more comfortable that I am and stuff. And there's different pressures being a doctor and being a nurse and stuff. It's all like, but obviously everyone works as one. But I always find that, yeah, a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you choose like being a doctor? Why didn't you? But I think after a while, like after they understand like what you do and stuff, it's like, actually you're not far off, really.
Yeah. Just behind them.
Yeah. And the problems.
Yeah, I guess. And on the same sort of level, I know for you, Arnold, is I guess you kind of mentioned it, but you did go down a almost non-traditional route, where most of our parents would say school, college, uni, degree, job, kind of thing. And we all try our best to sort of, tote that line. You're one of the few that's, sort of managed to break rank and do quite well for yourself while doing that. What advice do you give to someone who is sort of wanting to pursue a career that is outside of traditional lines? Because like your aunt said, you're not going to be doing jazz hands forever. And it's not guaranteed that you're going to be performing on West End or X, Y, and Z. So how do you sort of you know, if I was your age at like 16 or 12 or something, and I'm asking you like, what do I tell my mom because she wants me to go to uni and get a degree, but I really want to be in West End. Like, how do you, like, what advice would you give to that?
The advice I would give to that is, because this is what I used to say to my little brother and sister, because they are now trying to pursue the same field, same career that I'm in. I always said to them, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I'm pretty sure you've all heard that quote before. Do something you love and you never work a day in your life. So if your passion is actually, like you say, you're a very caring person and you like helping people, if that's something that you love and that drives you every day, that is the perfect job for you, because you will never feel like it's hard work. Well, of course you're going to feel like it's hard work, but you will enjoy it. Like, I know that my job, even though I was doing 8 shows a week, 2 hours every night, it was hard. It was really, really hard. But because I enjoyed what I was doing, it didn't feel that as hard as it looks. So if anybody's pursuing a career that's, not the normal, or I'm trying to think of different careers now, like that people might pursue. But
clearly, like, say like rapping or music producing, etc. Yeah,
things like if that's what you want to do, something. It's usually the creative fields where most people don't look at them in a credible way, because
it's not a job.
It's not a real job.
Yeah.
For example, one of my friends now is an influencer, and he told him that it's not a real job, and he always tells them, "Do you know how much I make?" and when he tells them how much he makes, they're like, "Oh, okay."
Yes, it is a job,
because he makes quite a lot of money. Yeah, so it's a real job. It is a real job. If you do something that you love, in my eyes, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you passionately want it. If you don't passionately want it, you won't enjoy it. For example, if I had become a nurse, or if I'd become a lawyer or a teacher or anything else, if I'd become a judge, that's such a credible job, right? But it's not something that I would genuinely enjoy. I wouldn't enjoy doing that. So I wouldn't enjoy my life. That's the main thing, is I wouldn't be passionate about it, and I probably wouldn't succeed.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't want it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I honestly believe if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Like, be passionate about everything that you're doing. Whatever it is that you're gonna do, make sure you're passionate about it. That's my advice.
I guess on that, I'm going to change gear a little bit. For those who actually maybe aren't too aware of what your job or role looks like I did with Rebecca, how would you explain? So, like, what does it look like for you on a day-to-day basis before COVID, when you were working? So going from master's college into actually you're now on stage performing, like what does that look like? What's your day-to-day look like? What is your role? What is your job?
Well, so to get far in my industry, you have to be able to do everything. So I was predominantly a dancer, but actor and singer as well. So in the last job that I was doing, I was dancing on stage in the show Thriller Live, Michael Jackson show. So technically it was more evening shows. So I have to be in the theatre at 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. On weekends, we had 2 shows, Saturday and Sunday. I'd be in the theatre from 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. So the show would start at 7:30. 6 days a week. Monday was our day off. The show would start at 7:30. So we'd be in there 6 o'clock, warm up, get ready, make sure we're all good, everybody's there, and we'd say who's going to be doing what role, who's going to be doing what role in the show tonight, etc., etc., etc. And the show would start at 7:30. We'd start at 7:30, finish the first act around 8:30, 8:45, and then do the next act as well. Then I would shower and get home. I usually get home quite late, like 11-ish, and I would get ready, go to bed. But then, so basically my work times were always usually evenings. So that was my schedule, was more evenings.
Evenings, yeah. And how do you get these jobs? Because it's not like I can go on Indeed and type in West End performer or something? How do you secure a performing arts job or like a gig like you'd have?
Okay.
Actually, tell them what some of the shows you've been in, because I know you've been in some cool stuff.
To get my CV.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll just say a few. I've just done a couple of adverts for like TJ Hughes, Uber, V Pure, if you know that energy drink. Did a film for something called Will, which is on Netflix in American Netflix. Danced on X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, NTA Awards.
Talk about it.
Brit Awards.
Yeah, give it more.
I've done Thriller Live. I've done tour with Jersey Boys, but they're all amazing jobs though. Every single one of them has been amazing for me. But the way that I got into it was basically when we did when I did our training, we do a show at the end of the training. We do a show and agents were invited to come and watch. And if you're lucky enough, you will acquire an agent. I got approached by 2 agents. They were both awful. I didn't like them at all. I didn't like their morals. They literally just wanted, it's not a bad way to think about it, but they just want the money. They want you to get a job, any job, quick. They just want the money. And that's not the morals that I believed in. It wasn't necessary. I didn't do this to become rich. Like, it's definitely not why I'm doing it. But until I actually found an agent who I contacted and emailed, she's been the best person she's been more than an agent. Sometimes I look at her like an auntie because she guides me so much, so well. She even helped me because I came to this country on my dad's passport, and I didn't have a passport until I was 27. So I didn't leave this country from 17 to 27. I didn't leave. And she helped me, basically helped me go back to, I had to go back to Zimbabwe because I didn't even have an ID card. You need an ID card.
ID card, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have an ID card at all. So I had to go back to Zimbabwe, get an ID card, then get a passport, then come back to the UK, then get a British passport, and then now I'm a British citizen. But it was such it's a stressful like time because I don't know if any of you been to Zimbabwe recently, but the queuing system over there is crazy. It's crazy.
Interesting, isn't it?
For everything is mad. It's mad.
Yeah.
It's mad. But yeah,
get an agent.
That's the one thing that I'm so grateful for is that she helped me get the passport.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why it was taking so long. Plus, it's expensive, you know. It's not cheap to get a British citizenship. I'm pretty sure some of you know if you've got a British citizenship now. It's pricey.
Yeah, it can be pricey.
Yeah,
but no,
like
so
1,000.
you'd say get an agent if you can. That's how you sort of score these gigs, because I guess they become that gateway for you.
Yeah, they know the best way, to be honest with you. They know how to contact casting directors the best. I mean, I actually have been able to get some jobs by myself just by looking on, I don't know, Facebook groups and being in and having friends who are in the same industry, because that's so important. Is networking in my industry is so important. It's who you know. Yep. Friends have pushed me to get a job before. They'd be like, hey, I'm doing this. They're looking for an extra person, an extra actor, an extra dancer. Are you free? Yeah, I'm free. What's the gig? What's the money? Well, it's like, then we negotiate, you know? That's one way I've got jobs by myself. But, sorry, my connection is a bit unstable.
No, you're
can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can still hear you. But what I'm going to do is, I'm sure there's going to be tons of questions that I probably missed out. We can still hear you, Arnold. You're still here. There's going to be a lot of questions, hopefully, from our audience and our participants. So I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to open the floor to whoever has question, whatever question there is. No such thing as a silly question. Rebecca and Arnold are sort of at your disposal. Anything you've ever wanted to know about nursing or performing arts, feel free to throw your question into the group. If you don't want to say it out loud, you can type it into the chat box and I'll read it out for you. But yeah, feel free to ask any and all questions that you have. I'm going to say we've got about another 15 minutes, so we can do a quick 15-minute Q&A so we can release Arnold and Rebecca to go about their days. So go on, guys. Any question?
Can I ask Rebecca a question quickly?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Since like this COVID situation has been going on now, how has the environment been changed? How has the environment changed in your like in hospitals, and how has it changed? In what way?
It's more so like it's just busy, like so busy, because we've had such like a huge influx like of patients and stuff. Because like my department is like cardiology basically, so usually we deal kind of like with the heart and nothing but the heart. But since COVID, we've literally had everything COVID, like all sorts and stuff like that. So it's literally yeah, like day to day, but it's just I can't even explain like how crazy it's been, because like literally hospitals are full, like ambulances, there's like 30 ambulances waiting like outside A&E, when like there's already like so many patients in A&E and there's nowhere to like
put them.
And we're literally like remember like we're literally moving like things out the theaters, like stuff like that, like operating rooms, and making beds, like DIY beds, and just putting people there and stuff, and trying to find like staff and stuff like that to put patients there. So it's been like more so like quite like stressful and stuff like that. And obviously at times like the morale's been a little bit like down, because people are like burnt out and stuff, because we've had like a lot of nurses and stuff go off with sickness, and doctors, so a lot of people have had to like pull their weight and stuff and like work like extra shifts, because at times I've literally done like 12.5 shifts in a row, and it's like
really, that's wow, just
tiring and madness and stuff. But like, I'm honestly like, I literally like thank God, because I'm like healthy, I'm fine, and because we've literally had like some nurses who haven't made it and stuff. So it's been like it's been a crazy year. Just never thought like the year like would be like this and stuff. So it's a bit, can't wait, just looking for the end and stuff. Like
I mean, I completely credit anyone that works for the healthcare right now, because you're saving the world right now, aren't you? It's
literally NHS heroes.
Yeah.
NHS heroes. Yeah. Okay, we've got 2 questions here in my chat box. So I'll go with the first one. The first one says, "What would you tell your younger self?" A question for both of you.
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
I'll go. I think the main thing I would tell myself is, wait 1 second, sorry, I'm trying to end this chat. The main thing I would tell myself is don't worry so much. Because I feel like there's, especially us as Black children in this country, we feel so much pressure from our parents, from everyone. We feel so much pressure to succeed and be successful in anything that we do. We feel so much pressure. And I think the main thing I would try and tell myself is don't worry so much. Just don't worry so much. You're going to be fine. Like, you're going to make whatever it is you do, you're going to be fine. You're not going to die. You're going to provide for everyone in some way or form. You might not be the richest person in the world. You might not be, you might be poor. It doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to be all right. Like, don't worry so much. And I think I worried quite a lot as a child. Like, I felt a lot of weight. I was the oldest child. Got my little brother and sister. Because my father, when he was younger, he used to tell me about how he always looked after all of his siblings and helped his parents look after all of his siblings. And that was something that I knew that I had to hold that responsibility as well, because he always told me how he did it. So I knew I had to hold that responsibility, and I did worry quite a lot. So yeah, the main advice for me, for my younger self, is do not worry. Don't worry so much. Yeah.
Great. Rebecca, are you gonna go with his answer as well?
No. For me, I'd say, tell my younger self not to like look at other people in a sense of like to pressure yourself. So I always say, like, everyone has their own timeline. Like, don't look and don't compare yourself to other people. So it's obviously, it's different. It's nice to look at people and be like, actually, I want to be where they are. I want to be earning how much they are. Do you know what I mean? Or I want to do that career, but not to this extent where you put yourself down and put your pressure, like, and be like, oh, actually, no, I can't do this. I can't be like them. Like, you're your own person, you're individual. You've got your own, like, I'm not the same as my brother, even though we look alike in some of our personalities, but he like went a completely different route and stuff like that. He went to college, he didn't do A-levels. It wasn't for him. He went to uni. It wasn't for him. And then he did went to the RAF. So everyone has, just because I've always said to him anyway, don't copy me. You don't have to go to university. You don't have, but obviously everyone has a different timeline. So sometimes some people take a break and maybe do other courses and then later go back to uni at 20, at 21, at 22. You don't basically have to copy someone else and do what I did and go through. Maybe you want to work in a care home for a little bit until you get experience. And do you know what I mean? I always say that you're your own person. Don't let anyone force you and kind of form you to that makes sense, because it's different. Each person has so I always find
Mm-hmm.
being in a African home child and stuff, and they kind of have goals for you already, but everyone's different and stuff. You don't have to follow what your cousin did. And
yeah, that's very poignant advice. I'm going to let TT read her question, well, say her question, and then I'm going to read the other two that I have in my chat box. So go ahead, TT.
This is a question for Arnold. I was wondering, after the pandemic, what jobs are you planning on doing?
So when the pandemic's over, well, see, in my industry, you can't necessarily pick what jobs you're gonna do. It's where you apply yourself is, I think, is what you're trying to say, is what jobs am I looking at trying to achieve, right? So because all that's available right now at the minute is mainly TV, film, and things like that, which is kind of what I'm trying to focus myself onto anyway, is more acting based. That's where I'm trying to go. So any TV series or things like that, that's where I'm trying to go with adverts and things like that. Because to be honest with you, that's, like I said, that's where the money's at. That's where the money's at. It's the difference in the pay is ridiculous. It's crazy. It's crazy because I don't know why, but it's in theatre is well paid. Theatre's very well paid, but anything television is always in the thousands. So if I get a job there, I just need to get in on one job and then I'm in. That's the way. That's it. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to pursue is TV work, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, fingers crossed,
We all got our fingers crossed for you. I mean, that leads on perfectly to another question that I have, which is it's from NK. It says, what impact has the pandemic had within the performing arts industry and how have you adapted? I think we were talking about this before we started, actually. So you could probably give us a quick little synopsis of how it's looking for you right now.
It's destroyed it. It's crazy. But the two industries that are suffering the most from the pandemic is the hospitality industry and the entertainment industry. Anything to do with bars, clubs, restaurants, and things like that, they're being they're destroyed in that industry at the minute. And the same as theatre, dance work, anything entertainment wise is kind of it's a shambles in a minute. But I believe it will always come back. But at the minute it's not great. And it's affected especially me. I was working at the time, but now we don't have a job. Now we don't. There's no work in theatre anymore at the minute. But I believe it will come back. I even saying that though, like I just said, I'm trying to focus more on TV now. So we'll see. If theatre jobs come back, I will definitely pursue them. But if I'm more focused on TV now, I think.
Yeah. And just a quick one. It says, is it hard performing on West End?
Yeah. It's very difficult because just like any job, there's a certain standard that you have to be, and no matter how I feel in that day, I still have to put a show on. No matter how I feel, no matter what's going on, I still have to put a show on. I still have to entertain. There are people in the audience who are watching this show for the first time and the only time. This is the only time they'll ever see it. So if I go out of there thinking, oh, I broke up with my girlfriend, oh God, I'm in a bad mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't do that. You
have to be on. You have to be on.
You have to be showman every time. It is difficult, especially emotionally. That's one side of it is difficult. And this show for me, the last show I did was difficult physically as well, because we were dancing for 2 hours straight. We were always on stage the whole time. Like, we don't. The only time we leave is to do a change in costume and come back on and do some more. So it was difficult. I'm not going to say it was easy. It was very difficult, especially in the first month of doing it. You're literally like, you full out. Whereas after a while, you realize in points where you can chill and relax and tone it down a bit, then full out in other bits and then relax in other bits. But yeah, well, I'm not going to say it was easy. None of those jobs are easy, because if they were easy, anybody would just be able to do
them. True.
Right?
True.
It can't be. To be at the highest sector of any of your jobs, like even any job, it wouldn't be easy, right?
Yeah.
And a question for Rebecca, it says, how did you decide to go into cardiology, and what advice would you give to someone trying to choose a particular area of nursing? What options are available?
So I went to cardiology because I just find the heart just so interesting, because I'm like, I guess you can't live without it, really. But yeah, that's for me. It was and there's so much to learn, like, from it and stuff. Like, a lot can happen to the heart, and it's quite, it was quite fascinating. And till this day, like, I've been nursing for like 6 years now, and I'm literally still baffled with so many things that I learn. I'm like, my head's just like every day and stuff. So yeah, that's more so. And because I had a placement, I think, in my second year of uni. And then I did cardiology then, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So you have an option, like, in your third year to choose like what kind of area you want. So I did, like, then choose cardiology again, just to make sure, because I was like, but you can always come out and choose something else. But yeah, that's what then I knew, okay, like, after seeing quite a few placements and stuff like that. What was the other bit, like, what?
It says, what advice would you give to someone trying to choose a particular area of nursing? What are the options that are available?
So it depends, because obviously for, like, nursing wise, there's like adult nursing, children nursing, learning disability nursing, also mental health nursing. So already there's like 4 sections where you're kind of where you want to kind of go. For me, I preferred like adult, because then with adult nursing you can kind of, it's broad, so obviously you do cover a bit of mental health, a bit of learning disability, a bit of children as well. So if you wanted to, then you can do like an extra 6 months or something to then go into children nursing and stuff. But once you're in like children and stuff like that, it's because all the calculations and stuff like that are a little bit different and that kind of thing. So it's kind of, you can still maneuver around and stuff and do it, but it depends like where your passion is and stuff. Some people do like children, like caring for children, so children nursing is kind of for you, and some people are interested in like mental health, so probably mental health nursing can kind of help you in that area. So you can start from uni and pick like which area you want, or you can just start from adult nursing and then kind of go into when you finish your third year and stuff, or you can choose halfway between your second and third year, go into adult, children, or mental health nursing.
Yeah.
I have another question for Rebecca, if that's right.
Yeah, go for
it. So for me, when the point where I think, oh my God, I love my job, is when I'm looking out into the audience and I see people clapping their hands and doing, that's, for me, that's like a moment when I'm like, I love my job. So I would imagine for you is probably, I don't know, saving lives, when you've saved somebody's life. Is there a scenario or a time where something has happened in at work where you've been like, I'm so glad I'm here to do this? Like, yeah. Can you tell us like of a time or a story of when?
yeah. There's loads of stories.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Obviously, people come to us like, it's sometimes obviously people are quite sick, but at times when people come in, it's literally like a matter of kind of life and death, really. So at times you come back, like patients come into hospital and they're literally on death's doors. So I remember like I had a patient who was really, really quite sick. They were in their 40s, so they're quite, well, young. So heart attack at that time. They came in, we were kind of getting them all sorted. The heart stopped at that point. So I think we worked on him about 15 minutes, revived him back, took him to theatre and stuff. We went into theatre. Obviously the family was there at the time at home. they got into hospital. They were all like, the doctors and stuff, all of us were all in the theatre working on him. Heart stopped again for like a good 20 minutes, revived it back. So we were kind of like, it's touch and go. And I think at one point we literally were like, you know what, we're doing everything that we can, but we don't think like he's going to make it, which is it's kind of like the most upsetting bit. So everyone was kind of like preparing themselves and stuff. So I remember going to the family, going to talk to them and like, look, kind of preparing them really and telling them the situation. This is what's happened. This is what we're doing. We've tried our best, but by the way things are looking, we don't think he's going to make it. And obviously they were so distraught breaking that kind of news to them and stuff. And that was like emotionally draining and hard for them because a couple of hours ago, he was absolutely fine and talking to them and having dinner. So that was like really, really difficult then. So they kind of had prepared themselves, okay, like he is going to die, and it's not easy. So I went back anyway, back into the theatre and stuff. We carried on. His heart stopped again. It was crazy. So I think at that point we were like, you know what, if that happens again, maybe there probably might not be a chance of getting him back and stuff. But luckily, pulled through the theatre and stuff. We've gotten back into like our high dependency bit, to care of him, like look after him. So I think at this point I was doing like 6 nights in a row. So I was actually looking after him those kind of 6 nights consecutively. And then kind of, I think on the 5th night, he started waking up and getting back and stuff. And I think, so my 6th night, he was awake, his family were in, they were talking to him, he was chatting away. I had like 3 days off. And then when I came back, like after a few days, he was standing up, walking around, like literally up and down the corridors, like chit-chatting the nurses, chatting them up and all sorts. So I was just like, it's crazy to think that like 10 days ago, this man was literally knocking like death's door and stuff, and he was on the verge of dying. I was just like, that for me, I was just like, it was more so emotional that you kind of saw how he was then and then how he is now, and him going out, walking out the door and stuff, and he was given, because I think he was in hospital for about good 30 days, and obviously he was saying bye to the nurses, like hugging them and stuff. It was like they kind of became our family really, and it was amazing to see like how great that was. And it was so rewarding because the family were just so grateful, and so because they were like, you about 30 days ago you were telling us that he was going to die, and now look, like saved him and stuff. And they were so thankful that obviously everyone did everything that they could as a team and stuff. And for me, that's my best bit. Like, it's just so rewarding to think like, giving another life really.
NHS heroes.
Makes my round of applause seem a bit wow. That's amazing though. That's amazing.
Yeah, NHS heroes indeed. I've got one more question, and I think TT has a question as well, so I'll come to her after. I'm going to throw this one to whoever wants to answer it. Yeah, actually, it's quite interesting because you both have different journeys. So it says, personally, it's from Samuel Dow. It says, personally, I would like to do practical work when I'm older. Do I choose to do an apprenticeship or go to uni to study? So being as you sort of had 2 different experiences with this, both of you, either one can take this question, but yeah, Samuel wants to know, well, which is better, apprenticeship or to go to uni? He wants to do practical work when he's older.
Practical.
Sticky one.
It is a sticky one. I would say, look at your heroes. Like, who do you aspire to be like, and figure out the journey that they took. Try and look at them, see the journey that they took, and then see if that's the journey that you desire as well. That's the best advice I can give, because I don't know. I would say look at your heroes in your industry that you're trying to pursue, and look at the journey that they took, and see if that's the journey for you. That's the best advice I could give, I think. Yeah,
it just depends, because practical, a bit of a hard. It depends as well if you're a uni person or if you're more hands-on. So, like, university is more academic. So there's obviously depends on which field you go. So sometimes you do have like practical sections. Like for me, I had practically a majority of my like thing was on the floor, like in hospital and stuff, but a lot of academic stuff. But like engineering and stuff, you can go to uni or you can do an apprenticeship, but an apprenticeship, it's more hands-on, so you literally like more on the floor. And if that's the route you prefer, then like academically, because some people will sometimes struggle from the academic side. Obviously apprenticeship, you all have the academic in classes and stuff, but I feel like if depends where you are and you're wired and stuff. If you're more practical, and you can some people learn better practically, don't they, than academically, and more hands-on and stuff. So I think apprenticeship will be kind of your route if that's what you like to do and stuff. Or academically, you can do it through uni. But I think there's no right and wrong. It's what you're passionate about. And like Arnold said, look at heroes and stuff and see where they're at and how they did it as well.
Yeah, I think that's good. I don't know if that answers your question, Samuel, but if it does or it doesn't, feel free to follow up with either myself or Sandy, and we can sort of see how we can best help help you make the decision for yourself as well. Titi, do you still have that question?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to ask Arnold if he's met any famous people, and if so, and why. Also, I wanted to ask Rebecca because I've known certain people in the medical industry that's taken it, but I'm not sure whether it's mandatory. Like, did you take the vaccine or did you have the choice not to?
Should I go first? I'll go first. Famous people. Okay. I've met Terry Crews. He came to watch one of our shows once. He really didn't. His assistants didn't like us taking videos of him at all. Because you're like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. I've met Bastian Schweinsteiger, if any of you know who that is. Footballer.
I won't pretend.
Yeah, he's footballer, a very famous German footballer. Met Nicole Scherzinger.
No way.
Met Talisa. Spoke to Nicole Scherzinger actually when I was doing the NTA Awards. I was just a dancer on that show, and she was one of the judges or something. She was one of the, was it the NTA Awards? No, she was performing. She was performing because that's why she was so, yeah, she looked good. She looked good. And she's a lot taller than I thought. She's 5'7", like she was wearing heels, so she's a lot taller than me. So she walked past and she said, "Have a good one." And I was like,
"You."
I didn't say nothing. I didn't even say anything because I was like, "Oh shit, what?" But I'm trying to think of other famous people that I've seen, but there's been a few. But yeah, I think my favorite one has been Nicole Scherzinger too.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one to have as your as the top on your list. Yeah. And I think the other question was about vaccinations for nurses.
Yeah. So I've had like the first bit. I think I've got another one in like 2 months' time. They do give you a choice. It's not by force, but it's more so like so they do ask you, and there's a few people that I know haven't had it yet, and they're just waiting for more research and stuff. But I kind of did my research and kind of knew, okay, this is kind of like what they're going with it and stuff. And it's more so because as nurses, we literally face COVID every day and day-to-day basis. It's more so just like protecting. I want to protect like myself and my family really, because you end up getting it, I'm just less chance of getting really, really sick and stuff like that because you've kind of got antibodies. So it's more so like as nurses, they're not forcing you, well, anyone in the medical field and stuff like that. It's more so like, I think on the outside, because I think some countries are like, oh, you can't come in until you've had the vaccine, or you have to quarantine for 14 days, but if you've had the vaccine, you don't have to. So I think they're kind of like pushing people in that way. But yeah, as no, like we have a choice and stuff, but they can't force you onto it. So
okay, yeah. I actually thought all nurses had to take it. But
yeah, I thought it was mandatory too.
Yeah.
If you get to at some point, well, they'll probably say like, because I think for like the flu vaccine and stuff like that, if you don't take it, they make you sign like this form and say like you're putting patients at risk to die and da. So it's like before you sign the, like, oh, actually, maybe I should get it.
Okay.
Yeah. No. That's good. I've got one last question, and in the interest of time, I'm going to ask that you answer it with a sentence. The question is, What's the one thing that you know now that you wish you knew before you started on your career journey? In a sentence.
What's one thing that I knew now?
Yeah, that you know now. Yeah, that you wish you knew before you started.
Oh man, I let Arnold start.
Look at Arnold. He's perplexed.
I'm racking my brain. Enjoy. I would just say like, just make sure that I enjoy every process. Like I know that I enjoy every process now, even when it's hard, even when I'm trying to wrap. Yeah, sorry, one sentence. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. I could have carried on then, but yeah. Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't even think. One thing I know now.
It could be anything. It could be anything. Maybe appreciation for life because of what you see on the wards. I don't know. Something that you thought, oh, I didn't know that happens in a hospital. And then you're here now and you go, wow.
Yeah, for me, it's probably more so that like cherish your family. Like I know I always say, yeah, cherish your family and stuff like that. Never always says that, but it's until it hits you to know how quickly like life can literally just slip like into your hands and stuff, especially with COVID and stuff. So just saying, love everyone, appreciate everyone, forgive everyone. Life's too. So yeah,
that's good. You know what? That's so good. I'm gonna do the clapping hands thing. Look at that. Oh yeah. Clap my hands. But no, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for making the time for coming here and sort of sharing your stories with us, your journeys with us. I think, well, I know I learned a lot, and I hope other people did as well. Just to make everyone aware, we did record the session, so we probably will edit it and put it out for those who did miss it. If there were any questions that we did miss or anything that you wanted to find out from either Rebecca or Arnold, feel free to drop myself a message or Sandy a message, and we can forward that to them and get an answer back to yourself. Or if there's anything that you sort of want to chat about regarding careers and sort of work schemes, etc., or anything in general that you sort of want to help with or advise with, feel free to sort of drop a message, and we can see how we can best help with that. But yeah, big round of applause for Arnold and Rebecca. I'm going to do that again because I'm kind of enjoying it. Look at that. Clapping hands. But no, thank you very much, guys. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We'll end it there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everyone have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank
you so much, guys.
Bye.
See you later.